Hi and welcome to the Vuelio training tutorial for sending press releases. This video will walk you through how to create and send out an email or press release using the Vuelio system. From this page you will see all releases you've sent out or saved in the past and any stats once they have been sent out. First, to actually create a new release, in the bottom right hand corner click on plus release, and this will take you through two stages where you can actually fill out the information and send the email. On the first step, which is content, fill in a name. Now this will only be seen internally within your system and therefore not seen by any recipients. This will fill out the headline, but you can change this to a much more formal heading if you wish. There's also an option to add a subheading, which will simply appear below the headline, but this is completely optional. The category simply allows you to categorize your release for future reference, and you can also search for releases based on categories. Also, tags work in a very similar way. We can search for any release that contains a tag, and we can simply type these in straight from here. So these would typically be any keywords or any phrases specific to this release. This could be the name of a product, your company name, like so. The display date is simply the date that will appear at the top of your press release, depending on the template you've chosen. Just be aware, if this is going to be sent out at a future date, then you will need to change this from the calendar. The schedule date will dictate when the release or email is sent from the system. Again, you can send this out at a future date. This could be tomorrow, this could be next week, or even next month. Simply choose a date and time from the calendar. For example, we could choose next week at a time of preference. Again, because we're choosing a future date here, you may wish to change the display date above. Then on the right of the page, we can start to fill out the core copy or the body of the release. You have some formatting options here, similar to Word. However, a few things to note. Again, we have the options to change the fonts, we can change font size, and we can insert YouTube clips and assets. An asset could be something like a logo or an image you wish to embed, and all we need to do is simply click on Insert Assets, and you can choose the file or image from your library. Now, if the image doesn't exist in your library, you can upload from your computer. Simply click on Choose Files, navigate to your computer desktop, and you can upload those files to your Vuelio system. As you can see with some examples here, you can click on an image you've uploaded, you'll see a preview on the right hand side, scroll down and click Use. When you click Use, it will simply embed that image. Now, as you can see here, you can click on the image and you can resize by dragging the corners, and you can move this around any text you may have entered. There is also an option to insert a YouTube clip. Again, click on the button from the toolbar, and all you need here is the full URL of your video. Using the example at the top, I'll simply copy and paste this. You will see a small preview at the bottom here, but again, click Use, and it will embed this within your body section. Now this will be a hyperlinked image, which will take the person to your YouTube video. Now, once you've copied and pasted or entered your text here, you can also choose to import a whole Word document. If you have the option, or if you have this pre-saved on your computer, all you would do is click on the button at the top here, then find the file on your computer, and it will try to import all that content into the body section here. Once you have done that, there are boxes below this for notes to editors, and below that a box for a boilerplate. Now these are optional, and you may wish to include everything in the first core copy box. However, anything you put in the core copy will appear first, then the notes to editors, then the boilerplate. And in the notes to editors, we can actually write out the words like so, and leave any comments, any contact details you wish to include. And a boilerplate will be any details about your organization and a About Us section, like so. And as before, you have the same formatting options from the toolbar. Now, once you've done that, if we scroll all the way to the top, we can move along to the second stage, which is distribution channels. From here, simply choose email from the drop-down, and you will now see a small preview on the right here. Now this is going to be how the email will look once it's sent out, and below this box there are options to change templates if you have the options. Now, as we can see from the top, we can see our headline that we entered. The subheading, this is going to be blank when it's sent out, as we didn't enter anything here, but if we do, it will simply appear below that main heading. We can see our display date as well. There is the 4th of September. We'll see a greeting as well, and then all the content we added, like so, including notes to editors, and then the boilerplate. Now, on the left of the page, we do have some other options. We can customize who the email's coming from. This may be preference to be either your own name, this could be your company name, or another company's name, or even your department name, such as communications team. And you can customize the first part of the email address. Again, this is coming from. This could be either your name, again a company name, team name, and so forth. Just be aware the domain part of the email can't be changed. Then below this, we can add and customize a salutation or greeting, and as we can see in the template here on the right, this will change. We can actually add a personalized greeting to the press release. We can include either the words hi or dear, and then include each recipient's first name, salutation, or their full name, first name and last name. As an example, we're going to write hi, and then from the drop down I want to include the person's first name and first and last name. And then at the end of that, I'm going to include a comma, but you may wish to include a hyphen or something else. And we can see an example here. Again, if you don't choose this option, similar to the subheading, this line will just be blank. Then the extra steps below here is simply choosing the recipients of your email. Groups, these would be any previously saved groups of contacts or outlets you've saved in the system, and to choose those, simply click on the plus, and here you can see all the groups in my system, and click on the tick box beside each one to include all the recipients saved in these groups, and you can choose more than one, like so. Then once you click on add, it's going to add those two groups to my release. Just be aware, if the same contact or outlet exists twice or more across both of these lists, so both sports contacts and travel, the system will dedupe their email address. Now, if there's any additional contacts you want to include that aren't part of any groups or any lists you've saved before, we can add individual contacts here or individual outlets here as well. Simply click on the plus beside each one, and we can now search in the database for any of those contacts. However, once we've found some, we can simply click their names on the left, click on add at the bottom, and it's going to add these 4 additional contacts as recipients to my press release. From here, there's also the option to remove those. Going back to the groups, if you decide there's 1 or 2 contacts within any of these groups you want to remove, potentially you don't want to include them on this particular release, you can customize, or you can explode the group to actually go into much more detail. For example, with my list here or group of Egyptian sports contacts, I can click on the explode button, this icon here, and it's going to add all those contacts into the list below, and I can now freely remove any contacts I wish. Again, we can add individual outlets as well, and finally there is an option here to include manual recipients. So all we can do is click on the plus, type in an email address, and it will then include this person as well, and it will also detect any first names or last names from the email to be used in the greeting. If you happen to have your own contacts saved on a spreadsheet or CSV file, then you can import straight to the release. And finally, before we do send the release, it is always best to send a test to yourself. Here, again, simply type in your email address, click send test, and it will send an email to your mailbox. Now, once you're fairly happy with the release, in the top right corner, you can either save the release and continue editing, or you can save and close if you need to log out or leave the system. Just be aware, as we can see along the top here, we do need to save the release first at least once before we can send it. So if we click save, this will then give us an option to process the email. So as we can see at the top here, process email distribution will send the release out. Now this will either be straight away, or if we go back to the content stage, we can see this will actually be sent out in the future on the 4th at 8 AM. So we can click process. There is the option to then cancel that before that time, but if it is sent out immediately, obviously you can't undo that or recall the email, so do be careful. However, now this has been saved, in the top right corner there's a few more options, such as clone, which will copy all the content part of the release we've done so far, so everything apart from the recipients, and we can also delete this draft as well. Now if we go back to the releases tab, we can now see on the main screen at the bottom our new test release, so our new product launch that we just created. We can also see exactly when it was created and when it's scheduled for, so that future date as well there. Now if you go to the middle of the screen, you can either see draft or sent items, so it will toggle between the two. Currently we're looking at any drafts, but if we click on the button here, it will swap to any releases that have been sent out so far. Now from this screen, you will see some stats as well. Once they have been sent, this will include how many emails in total were sent, so to how many recipients, and out of those we can see how many, if any, bounced, how many of those were opened, how many people clicked on any links, and we can see if any of those were recorded as spam, or if anyone unsubscribed to the email. Lastly, there is a status icon, which is this envelope icon here under status, and this will show you either if the email's been sent successfully, which will be a green icon, if it's been scheduled and not quite sent out yet, but you have clicked on process, this will show you a blue purple icon, and if for some reason there's an error or a potential issue with release, this will be a red icon. If you decide you want to customize any of the columns here, such as including the created by or modified by, then click on choose columns and you can freely customize your view. From here as well, you can also search for releases. This may either be by name or by keywords at the top here, or you can even search by tags and even by category.